to the latest edition of Hoops and Horses. This episode's for January 18th, 2025, Saturdays, Races and Games. I'm CC Broaddus. We're joined by the chairman and the CEO of FatBallGuyRacing.com. Welcome Dan Cronin to the show. Hello, Dan.
Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a good week. Got some good racing Saturday.
Looks like you got some good beer there behind you.
Got the shots too ready.
Yeah, feel free to just crack one open when we're doing the show here today. Also joined by Trey Server, who is caught a ride on one of Elon Musk's rockets, and he's floating in space.
Yeah, I've hit so much this last couple weeks. I decided, you know what, go big or go home.
All right, well, let's do it. Yeah, see if you can hitch a ride back before the
I'm
day
stuck
before Saturday. But all right, let's talk about the weather forecast for this Saturday. Maybe keep an eye on the skies in certain locales. Gulfstream Park, 79 and partly cloudy, always beautiful down there, it seems. Fairgrounds, morning showers as of right now, as we record this on Thursday, 71 degrees. And Turfway, where it's always cold, 40 degrees. A mix of rain and snow that morning, so keep an eye out there. I think we're going to be good to run though. So, all right, let's dive into things here. Before we do though, let's take a break, and we want to hear from our friends at FBG, FatBallGuyRacing.com. Welcome back. Let's get into things. Let's talk about our first track, Gulfstream Park. We're going to go all the way to race 9. You can actually skip all the morning proceedings and the early afternoon proceedings. All of our action is going to be late in the day on the horse racing side, at least. We're going to talk about the Sunshine Sprint, $75,000 stake, 6 furlongs on the dirt, and the return of a stakes winner to the track. Let's talk about this horse, Dan.
Yeah, Damon's Mound. I get nervous anytime I'm taking a horse off a big layoff, but as long as that price holds 3-4 to 1, I'll be fine there. I actually was disappointed by the morning line. I thought maybe 5 to 1, but perfect post. Mott's not going to run a horse that's not ready. The last couple works look really, really, really good. So we weren't able to watch them, unfortunately. Sometimes pacing, we can watch them on that XBTV, but it wasn't on, so we couldn't see them. But he won the grade 3 or the grade 2 Gallant Bob last year and came right out of there and run another good race. And then they took him to California to run in a grade 1, which, man, oh man, that's asking a lot. And didn't run terrible. They ran extremely fast, and he ran okay. Alvarado comes back on him, and Mott takes over, and perfect post, perfect stalking ability. He fits. He fits here, and I think Mish is going to go to the lead, the 6. I think he'll sit just right off of him, and then when it's time to go, he'll have to answer the question, but because Irad's going to be coming behind him on the 1, classify. And then Comedy Town's the favorite, which I didn't really like Comedy Town too much. He beat Lesser, but I guess he's got a chance too. Anything Safi runs has a chance, and he loves Gulfstream, but he's got a layoff too, and Van Dyke. So 9 to 5. I didn't like that 9 to 5 too much. So I like Damon's Mound. I'm hoping we get every bit of 3 to 1, and I know CC, you know a lot about this horse too.
Yeah, the horse coming off a long layoff. I always buy the Thoroughgraph philosophy on horses coming off layoffs. They tend to run their best in their first start off the break, and then sometimes they might regress. So I think we may see a really good effort from Damon's Mound right off the rip. So looking forward to the return of Damon's Mound. Now let's go to race number 10, another 6 furlong sprint on the dirt. Optional claiming a other than for fillies and mares. Trey likes a horse in here. Let's go to Trey Serber.
Yeah, so the horse that I landed on this race is the 9 Our Disaster for Tyler and Safi. Looking at the PPs, Safi might have a big day, so I might try to ride the hot streak into this race. There seems to be a lot of speed in this race. Riley Mott has Cruz to Catalina, the 6, who is 3 for 4 lifetime and coming off back-to-back wins, won by 7 lengths. So that horse is going to be very tough, but I'm hoping with the other speed signed on in here that Tyler might just sit second or third, even though this horse likes to be up near the lead, and then take off in the stretch. A horse that you might want to use underneath hasn't run since October, but was very impressive at Keeneland, just to his outside is the 10 Wailua, another Safi trained horse. So 9-10 in that race for me.
All right, let's move away from Gulfstream. We're going to go to Fairgrounds in New Orleans, Louisiana, and a fantastic race card. 12 races on the card, capped off by the rich $250,000 Lecomte Stakes, a Kentucky Derby points race. But first, we're going to set the table. Let's talk about race number 2. Now, I spoke too soon. I said most of the action, all of the action is going to be in the late afternoon. We do have one race here that's going to go off 1:30 Eastern, it appears, that Dan likes a horse in here. It's a state bred maiden special weight, 6 furlongs for fillies. And let's talk about who you like here in race number 2, Dan.
Yeah, the rain is gone, the 3 horse here for Jose Ortiz and Steve Asmussen. First of all, I'm glad that Steve has finally understood that Jose needs to be on his horses. So that's happened over the winter, which is great, and that's why Steve's win percentage is 24% and Jose's is 30%. Well, they bet this one down to 8-5 first time out, which normally tells you that somebody knows something behind the scenes, or they're not going to make this horse that short. Little Red Feather Racing is the owner, good solid owners. And if you watch that race, he got left in the gate a little bit, got in a little bit of trouble. By the time he got loose, the other horse was gone, got beat a length and a half. That's fine for me. I love the fact that he didn't run a big buyer number, because now that's why you're 4-1 instead of 8-5 again. And I think if this horse breaks this time, which I think she will with Jose now that he knows her, I think this horse is going to run big. And when I look up and down this field, the 10 with Mitch Morrell is the only horse that caught my eye at all, and he was 41-1 his first start. So yeah, he ran a 51. Yeah, he ran okay, but somebody has to run third and fourth in those races, and the winner ran off and went easy. So I don't know what to make of that race. Maybe the filly is just as good or better than ours, but if I get 4-1 and I'm not the favorite in here, I will be betting a considerable amount of money on the 3. The rain is gone.
All right. Now let's move ahead in this Fairgrounds card. We're going to talk about this smorgasbord of stakes action. Race number 9, the Silver Bullet Day Stakes, $150,000, 1 mile and 70 yards, a Kentucky Oaks prep race, basically. Points on the line here. And Dan, again, comes back with an old favorite of ours. Kind of let us down last time, but she's back, hopefully, to run here in this Silver Bullet Day Stakes.
Yeah, Golden Gamble, if she would stop lugging in, I think she's got a world of talent, the 2 horse here. And I think you sent me earlier the DRF guy that said either that one or Gal's Delight, the 6, is going to get scratched. One of the 2 is not going to run. And I thought that too. I didn't understand why Kenny would want to run both them horses in the same prep race. That was kind of strange to me, when he can send one of them over to Gulfstream or even up to Turfway. But I think Golden Gamble, if she goes here, just stands out to me. California Sunset's not going to run the 5. She's going in the race on Sunday. So that even makes the race easier. The Cox horse is going to take money, the 1. The 3 is going to take money, Simply Joking, just because of that buyer number. but we don't know if she can route or not. Where I know Golden Gamble can route, I can picture the trip that BJ Hernandez is going to give her on that fence. He's just going to sit her in that pocket, and then, you know, when she's ready to roll, he's finally going to ask. And the only thing that scares me is she lugs in, and if she doesn't figure that out, or if they don't change equipment, she's going to lug in again. But if she runs straight, she's better than these fillies, and this is when you're going to find out if we're right. And the price is right. I mean, 7-2, even if you get 5-2, as long as she ain't even money, I'll be happy.
All right. I think I see California Sunset may be running the next day or Monday in allowance race. Thought that was interesting. She should be like 1-5 in there. But yeah. All right. Golden Gamble in the Silver Bullet Day. Now we've got 2 stakes races in between this race and the last race we're going to talk about, or excuse me, the next race we're going to talk about. And that's, of course, the Lecomte Stakes. We'll just call this our race of the week. $250,000, mile 16 for 3-year-olds. And boy, this is a whale of a race. I think just from my point of view, it's a race worth playing because I think there's a vulnerable favorite in here, at least on the morning line, in number 13, Built, who draws the parking lot essentially and comes off the biggest race of his lifetime. And I think that sets up for a potential regression. And I'm glad that Dan is going to take a stand against this horse. Tell us about who you like in here, because if you could narrow down in this race, you've got a big advantage in this late pick 4 and late pick 5. It's a fascinating race.
Yeah, I didn't like this morning line at all. I was very surprised when I saw it, but pleasantly surprised. I don't like Built at all. If Built wins, I'm going to lose. I like 2 horses in here, and I'm going to use both of them in the late pick 4s and 5s. I think Disco Time's the horse to beat for Brad Cox, and I think that's why he scratched the other one. The 3 Admiral Dennis is out because there's no reason to run them both. If Disco Time is anything like he's working and already showed, he's going to win in a hand ride. Now, that doesn't mean he'll do it, but he's working with Encino. Encino just went easy a few minutes ago at the fairgrounds in his normal fashion where he just grinds away and just keeps going. But Encino won the Lexington Stakes last year. Encino's an older horse for Brad Cox, could be one of the better older horses in the country by the end of the year. And this little 3-year-old is working heads up, if not better than Encino. So, I mean, he wasn't given an inch to Encino in those workouts. So Disco Time has got big quality. I don't know how far he'll go, but he ran a mile, and you couldn't run any more impressive than that. He was on the pace. They went 23 flat. They went 45 and change. The early pace number for time form was 121. I mean, they were rolling. He had every reason to stop, and instead he drew away and went as easy as you could win in 134 and 4. They don't run those kind of numbers at Churchill when they're 2-year-olds. So now he's a 3-year-old. I think Disco Time's the clear horse to beat in here. And my long shot is the 2 Maximum Promise, because it's McPeak again, and I just don't know yet how good this horse is. He had a 12-hole first time out at Ellis Park. You do all the Ellis Park stuff for us, CC. You know that the 12 horse or the 12 hole on the turf at Ellis is impossible, let alone for a first time starting 2-year-old. So he had no chance in his first start and only got beat 4 lengths. I mean, that's a hell of a start for a first time starter. He comes out and everybody bet this horse. I mean, this horse was not favored on the morning line that day and just got hammered because we all bet on him. And he just win in a canter. He never even tried and run an 83 number. So we don't know. I mean, maybe he's good enough, maybe he's not, but he's going to get that typical BJ Hernandez rail trip where he's going to sit right behind the 1 innovator who's going to go to the lead. He's going to just sit on the fence and just wait and wait and wait. And maybe it opens and he's got horse. Maybe the Cox already ran away from him. But Maximum Promise for sure on trifectas. But I think he's got a big chance to upset if the Cox Disco Time is not what I think, but I'm just going to use those two. And I'm not even thinking about using anybody else in there. Maybe the one if you want to take a flyer that'll go wire to wire for Lucas, but that would be the only other one I'd even consider.
Yeah, I would not be afraid to use the rail horse Innovator in your exotics. If something these 3-year-olds or these late season 2-year-olds, early 3-year-olds, they're not as consistent. They'll run a big one, then they regress, and then run a big one. Innovator, if he's anything, he's consistent, and he's always fires his best shot. He's probably going to get to the lead under Jaime Torres, and they're just going 1.70 miles. So I think he's got a shot to get part of this at double-digit odds, and that does not scare me in the slightest. Having 4 races since November 27th, I think this horse may be sitting on a decent effort. So yeah, but I like your pick there in Disco Time, and yeah, Maximum Promise, very interesting horse coming off the long layoff, a son of the disgraced Kentucky Derby winner Maximum Security. Should be a great race. Looking forward to it. That's going to be late in the day on Saturday around 6:30 Eastern time. Okay, now we're going to go to Florence, y'all. We're going to go to Turfway Park. Trey says I'm going to dominate this card on Saturday. We haven't heard from you here in a while. Trey, he's chomping at the bit. He's got a ton of horses he wants to talk about. Let's go first to race number 4, 50,000 non-winners of 2 lifetimes, 6.5 furlongs on the all-weather. Trey, let's kick off the Winter Olympics at Turfway Park for Saturday, January 18th.
Yeah, so Dan told me he didn't like Turfway anymore. He's not been doing well, so he said take over. So here I am. I'm going to try to help out a little bit. Number 7, Bay Lounge, is the horse that I want to focus on in this race. Top to the start, and the horse who was inside was rambunctious in the gate. Neither one of them came away very well. This horse was bet down to 2-1. Ended up running third. Didn't ever really threaten the leader, who won by 4.5 that day, but ran well enough to be third. Comes back here for a trainer that I'm not familiar with, but does have a positive ROI. But the jockey sticks, which I think is important in this race. So I start with number 7. And the other horse that interests me out of this race was the number 1, Neon Leon. Joe Ramos hops aboard this horse again, albeit a Indiana bred. Tried going long last time and was on the lead and got tired late and ended up getting beat by a bunch. But at that point, it didn't matter. Shortens back up, and I expect this horse to run a lot better. So 7 over the 1 for me in that race.
But anyway, let's go to race number 8, $16,000 claimer, 1 mile on the all-weather. That's a 2-turn race. And Trey's got an old favorite here. Let's talk about your selection in race number 8.
Yeah, so race number 8. Yeah, so race number 8, I like the rail horse again, Cool Rags. This horse was claimed 3 starts back at Keeneland from Eric Foster by Brittany Vandenberg. Came back to run on December the 20th in an open 16. Ran third, and then came back as a just under 4-1 in a 12-5 open, and won that race and was claimed. And the person that claimed it was Eric Foster. So they obviously like this horse to claim it back. Now they're running here. They're moving it back up a little bit to the 16,000. That part doesn't really scare me that much. I think this horse is going to get a good inside stalking trip under Gabriel Saez. 3 for 13 at Turfway. And I didn't see much else in this race, so I'm going to stick with the 1 horse in here to get the job done on the reclaim.
All right. Yeah, underdressed. We'll probably take a lot of money there on the drop for Larry Ravelli.
He's going to take a ton of money.
Yeah, I do see that horse, but he's only 1 for 11 at Turfway, so I'm hoping maybe he doesn't obviously like that track.
Yeah, it's very possible. All right. Moving right along. It wouldn't be the first time we see Larry Ravelli lose at a low price.
True.
Sorry. So let's go on to now race number 9. This is an optional claiming allowance with a purse of $82,000. A other than 6 furlongs for the males. Who do you like, Trey?
Yeah, so this race I like number 5, Perfect Prankster, for Owen Hardy and Vincent Chaminade. They are 2 for 2 in the money together with 1 victory. Just ran third by a neck, going 6 furlongs. The jockey comes back. Their numbers are going up. I think it's forcing a good trip for the 5 post. And this, if I had to make a best bet, this horse would be the best bet for me on the card.
Wow, there you go. 1,000 to win, 1,000 to place for Trey.
Yes, you can give me 999 of that.
All right. That concludes the horse racing segment of our show. Now let's move on. We've got a couple of basketball games we want to talk about. First, it seems like Kentucky always pops up on these shows, and we've had mixed results. But Dan, what do you think here? This is Alabama off of an upset to Ole Miss at home, travels to Lexington to play Kentucky.
I think Alabama's been exposed a little bit to where they're good, but they're not great. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the country right now. And I was going to mention this. I kind of find this comical because I'm dealing with it every day, that there are so many fan bases that are unhappy right now because the fan bases can't understand that your conference is no longer 8, 10, and 12 teams. It's now 18, or some got 20 now. And your team is now playing way better teams than they've ever played in the history of your school, night in and night out. So you got all these teams that are 3-4 in the conference, 4-3 in the conference, and their fan bases are mad. They're all mad. They all want to fire their coach. 50 schools across the country want to fire their coach. Guys, this is the new reality. 10-10 in the SEC, 10-10 in the Big 12, 10-10 in the Big 10 is reality unless you got a top 5 team. Because you're playing Alabama, Kentucky, Alabama, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Mississippi State. I mean, you're playing really good teams every night. So you tend to start getting exposed. And I think Alabama got exposed at home that they're an average 3-point shooting team. They got a great point guard. They have a center that can do nothing but block shots and rebound. So it limits their offense a little bit. And teams have now figured that out, that you can guard Alabama. All you got to do is guard the 3-point line. They have no inside game. So I think Kentucky is now well coached. They're going to know that. They're going to have them scouted. I think the home court's going to be huge. As long as Kentucky does not throw a clunker and go 3 for 21 from the 3-point line, if they have a normal 35 to 40% 3-point range game, they're going to win. And I think the spread's going to probably be 1 Kentucky, somewhere in there, 1, 1.5, maybe 2. It's going to be a very low spread. And I think Kentucky's going to win. I think the crowd will be awesome, and Kentucky will ride that crowd to a 85 to 78 type win.
All right. Let's see what time that game is. I missed it. Wasn't paying attention. See if I can find this real quick. Is it noon?
I was going to say, for some reason, I thought it was early.
Yeah,
Noon?
I think it is noon.
Noon. See, all right. So you can watch this game, and then when this game is over, you can start going to work on the horses. So should be a fun day. I've got one more. I'll throw this one in here. I thought North Texas is a team that's interesting to me. They've got a guy that's probably going to play in the high majors next year named Brendan Lorient, who is a 6'9" center, and he started out at Florida Atlantic. I think he played on that Final Four team with Dusty May, and now he's at North Texas, and they've got a pretty good squad this year. And now they're going to go travel to Texas San Antonio, who is a little bit dressed up. They've won 2 conference games in a row, but they've played kind of the mid to the bottom in the American Athletic thus far. They're three. I believe they're 3-1. No. They're 2-2 in conference, and I think they're a little bit dressed up. They're probably going to be a 9 to 10 point underdog. I think North Texas takes care of business with Lorient and Crew. So yeah, if you can get something north of that, maybe a close game since it's on the road. But I think that the Mean Green pull away late. All right, that's all for me. Anything else you guys want to toss in before we sign off?
I hear IU's looking for a new coach, Dan. Any chance we can get Mick away from the West Coast?
I don't know, but that's one of the better jobs in the country. They got a lot of money, a lot of tradition, and they sell out every single game, which every single coach loves. So we'll see. But there'll be tons of job openings as these boards start to panic because, Kansas State, Arkansas, and Indiana, according to Jeff Goodman, are the three highest nil schools.
Yes.
They're all three going to miss the tournament. So just because you spend a ton of money does not mean you're going to make the tournament, because in 20 team leagues, you're going to have 15 games go to the buzzer. You got to be able to coach. So you better go get guards. I think people have finally figured that out, that if you don't have really good guards, you're not going to win. And I told my dad about Indiana at the beginning of the season. I said, they got two West Coast guards that are soft as tissue paper. And when they get into the heart of the Big Ten, they're going to get crushed. And it's happening. Those two guards are backing down. They can't hold their own in the Big Ten, and it's showing.
Dan, do you think just on January 16th, as we're recording this, fast forward 2 months, do you think there'll be more or less upsets in the big tournament? Because as these teams start to gel, you got a lot of teams with players that come from different teams. But now,
I think you could have a lot of 2 7s, 3 6s, where the 6s and 7s win, because other than Iowa State and Auburn, I don't see any teams that are that great that are going to be 2, 3, and 4 seeds that couldn't lose to the 6, 7s, and 8s, because I don't know how the committee is going to do it. I really don't. I guess they're going to just stare at these numbers, because how do you separate a team that's 12-8 in the Big 12 versus a team that's 12-8 in the SEC and 12-8 in the Big 10, and they're all 21-10? How do you separate them?
I'll tell
And
you where there's going to be a lot of pissed off peoples when a team from the SEC that is 6-14 and ranked in the top 50 and in whatever their rankings are, what if they get in as an 11 seed or a 12 seed and knock out a mid major?
I know there's going to be teams 7-11, 8-12 in leagues that might get in, because, I mean, now that everybody's in a big conference, there isn't going to be as many mid majors, and the Mountain West usually got a bunch of teams in, and they're all beating each other up out there. So I don't know how many the Mountain West is going to get. The A10 is a one bid league right now. I mean, Dayton has completely fallen off the map. VCU's okay, but they've had a bad loss or two in the non-conference. I don't see Conference USA, the American. I don't see a bunch of at-large bids coming from any of those leagues. So you're going to end up with the 12th place team in the SEC, the 10th place team in the Big 10, the 9th place team in the Big 12. The only big league that's not going to get very many teams is the ACC. You got Duke, and then a bunch of nothing. Louisville is the next best team. They're having a good year, but they're not great. I know they're having a great year. Kelsey's got them playing, and they're going to play a bad schedule the rest of the year, so they're going to mount a bunch of wins. But is second, third, or fourth in the ACC better than eighth in the SEC? I'm not so sure it is. So I'm curious to see what they do seeding wise. And when I look at the ACC, they can't get more than 4 teams unless I'm staring at something wrong. Clemson, North Carolina, Louisville, and Duke. Who else could possibly make it? So if you don't have 10 from that league, that leaves all these bids for the other 3 leagues. And the Big East isn't very good either. When you start looking at the Big East depth, You got St. John's, Creighton, Marquette, Connecticut, and then what? And then what? Providence isn't any good. Xavier isn't any good. I mean, I don't know who's going to be the 5th, 6th, 7th team out of that league.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a big argument. The 5th place team in the Big East and the 5th place team in the ACC, are they better than the 12th place team in the SEC?
Right.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Well, the next 60 days anyway. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to a big weekend of racing. Can't wait to play this late pick 4, pick 5 at Fairgrounds. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, reminder, go to fatballguyracing.com and get all the selections. We got everything that you could desire. Santa Anita, Fairgrounds, Oaklawn, Gulfstream, Turfway, Tampa Bay Downs. Henry's killing it at Tampa Bay, I hear. So it should be a lot of fun this weekend. And look forward to seeing what happens. And we'll see everybody next week. So on behalf of Trey Server, Dan Cronin, I'm CC Broaddus, reminding you that gambling money ain't got no home. Good night.